אתה עלינו מלך ושקלני בדברי. So we're up to the last, again, we have a different text, but it's Dalid. If you're using the Sefer Mamarim Malukit, it's 2 lines from the bottom, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Otherwise, it's almost at the bottom of the second paragraph of Is Dalid, 3 lines from the bottom. So the Rebbe has explained now the 3 inyanim that there are in mitzvahs, corresponding to the 3 general levels of alikus, as it were. Memala kalalmin, and then seviv kalalmin, and atzmos umahus. Atzmos eirin sof. And explained that mishpatim, which is the logical dimension of all mitzvahs, so the understanding of the mitzvah, of which there is, as we explained yesterday, that's true of all mitzvahs, there is a measure of understanding, even the chukim. So by addressing that dimension, is mamshich memala kalalmin, by addressing the transcendent beyond rational dimension of the mitzvah. The chukim dimension that exists within every mitzvah, so is mamshich sevev kalalmin. The question is, how is he mamshich, how is a Jew mamshich atzmos? There are no tools. The tool to be mamshich, memala kalalmin, is rationale. The tool to be mamshich, sevev kalalmin, is surrendering rationale, is bitla seichel. So interestingly enough, the answer to that on the paper occupies far less than the answer to, or the explanation as to how a mamshich, memala, and sevev. It's a very short answer. V'lochein, and therefore, hamshachas atmos eirin sof, the mamshech, the essence of alikos, eina gam al yedinyan chukim. It's not even through chukim, which is bittul haseichel, which would be to surrender and go beyond the rationale, the intellect. But as we explained at length yesterday, kivin shlagabi atmos eirin sof, about the essence of Hashem, in shaykh loyme gam inyan nashtalila deseichel. It's inappropriate and not true to say, to define him or peg him as being higher than intellect. As you said yesterday, it's a laughable statement. So the best we can say is beyond. So if it's beyond, how do you connect? Not directly, not indirectly. It's a few words, that's it. So how is it possible that Yid is Mekayim a mitzvah? That is mamshich atzmos? The answer is it has nothing to do with his connection, but rather since the Eibishter commanded it, and the Eibishter says by doing that you connect to me, so that's why it works. The Rebbe is not offering certainly not a logical explanation, and not even a supra-logical explanation. An explanation that draws on the infinite, the transcendent. Both of them pale into absolute insignificance relative to the essence of Elikos. So how does a Yid connect to Atzmos? Because Hashem decided he should. That's how that works. Is that clear? The Eibishter has no limits at all, and the Eibishter can allow for, through his will, for the impossible to happen, and that a Yid, through a simple act, connects to Atzmos. So I've mentioned many times, this is the answer to what people often ask, and that is, I want to be religious and spiritual, but why must I follow a set rules? Or better still, why can't I define my own spiritual path? And the answer is you can, and it's going to be beautiful and wonderful and spiritual and transcendent, and Malach Kalamin, Tziviv Kalamin, but the Eibishter has absolutely no connection. Because, for the reason we just explained yesterday at length in the Maimer, not finite, not infinite, both of them are absolutely insignificant and do not begin, either of them. One is not further, and the other is not closer, to approach Atzmos. So if the person is defining his own path, he's left with himself. So you can become a much bigger, better, spiritual, nicer, refined, moral. You can throw every adjective under the sun into this description, and you will be. And if that's what you like, present to hate. But to the Eibishter has absolutely no connection. The connection to the Eibishter is, if he allows it, he says, put on tefillin, you connect. Give tzedakah, you connect. Honor your parents, you connect. Why do these things connect us? Because they're the tzivoya atzmos. Like the Rabbi famously says in the Kotetayr, if the Eibishter would command us to chop wood, then that would be the way we connect. There's nothing inherent about chopping wood that's valuable. And the truth is, there's nothing inherent in any virtue whatsoever compared to atzmos. These are virtues, friends. These are descriptive virtues. These are mishpatim. And even if a person recognizes this beyond the mishpatim, b'chol ba'itcha, and b'sidas nefesh, it's still the human experience. So you're still left with you. So the only way to connect is by virtue of the fact that the Eibush has commanded it. That's the Nekuda. And as we've pointed out in the past many times, the same is true in relationships. And of course in a much different format, but the same Nekuda is true. A relationship to somebody else, at the end of the day, if you want to connect to them, it's not on your terms, it's on their terms. If it's you're a nice husband, you're a good husband, you're a good friend, beautiful. But if it's about you may not have connected them at all. It could be that they like what they're seeing in you, so you did. That's because we're all human, so we share a lot in common. So you can come up with how you think to connect to the other person. It's true. And you might be successful. But in essence, it's a complete failure, because the way to connect to the other person is not how I like to see you, what I want to give you, but your need. Even if it's something I don't understand and don't need. That's when you're connecting. In simple language, a relationship with the other has to be on the other's terms, not on my terms. It's on my terms, I'm left with me, and I swallow you up. Is that a relationship with you? I'm incorporating you. I'm swallowing you, consuming you. A relationship means when I fulfill your need as your need, which we've spoken about many times in terms of marriage and so on. Okay, so let's continue now. If you look at, turn the next page, Vizel, the next paragraph now, the final paragraph in Ois Dalet. Vizel, and Eidush mitzvahs, and it's this third component, the Atzmos component. The third component, which touches the very essence of a likus and connects us by virtue of the fact that Hashem has so commanded. In other words, we connect to the level of a likus that's not just apprehensible, but the level, not just the level that's not apprehensible. That's sovev. But we get to that which is finally beyond Atzmos. That's conveyed in the Eidos. He will now explain why. That's why all the mitzvahs, even Chok Mishpatim, Nikroim B'Shem Eidos, Torah refers to them, as we quoted the pasuk earlier, Eidos L'Yisrael. They're all called testimonies. Why? Because mitzvahs, in addition to revealing Hashem on the level of Mali and Sevev, they draw down and reveal the Helem Ha'atzmi. That means, Helem Ha'atzmi means the essentially hidden, not relatively hidden, but accessible someday, somehow, directly or indirectly. Not so. Helem Ha'atzmi means fundamentally hidden, beyond all, period. The Atzmos Ein Sof. Shalamayla gam Soivev, higher than Soivev, that a Yid is mamshech in every mitzvah. And that's the Eidos component. Why is it called Eidos? And what does it have to do with the notion of testimony? As we learned in the previous Maimon, the Moishe, Eidos bepashtus. When you have testimony, al davar hanelam dafka, you have testimony when the information is fundamentally concealed from the court, and they can never access it. So you need to have witnesses. If the facts are before us, we don't need testimony. So that, for sure, you don't need testimony. That corresponds to mamala kalalmin, levels of velikus that we can apprehend. We see divine intelligence in nature. That's nothing in of testimony. You can see a designer in nature, and all of the incredible complexity that's in nature that points to the complex creator. That's all mamala kalalmin. And that doesn't need eidos. And even the next level now, Sevev Kalalmin, which is in the model of testimony, it means that the court doesn't have information currently, but it will be revealed. Ein tzarich eidos, you don't need testimony. As we explained in the previous Maimer, the classic case in point is if a person comes, you remember, from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, and he says that the court established such and such a day's Rosh Chodesh, even though you need always two witnesses. In this case, one is enough, because a person is not going to lie about something that's going to come to light sooner or later. So we see from here that something which the court doesn't have access to now, that's over the horizon, they will tomorrow or the next day, you also don't need eidos. Spiritually, that means a level of alikus that's not accessible now, but it's just over the horizon in the sense that we can access it through not affirmative intellect, but by surrendering intellect, an indirect access. That's the parallel to the information that right now we don't have, but we will. I'm not talking about when we will. I'm talking about now that we don't have it, and we will, there's already a connection to it, which is why you don't need eidos. You follow that nuance? It's now that I don't is already a connection to it, because I will. But I'm not talking about when that time comes, then it becomes a davar agoloi. Then it becomes, that's mamala kalalmin. We're talking about as it is, beyond our ken, but connected to it, not directly in actual knowledge, but indirectly. So it's a marshal, and it's a manifestation of the level of what? Or expression of atzmos. The information that is beyond our knowledge now, but accessible, again, over the horizon. So that is a marshal for Sevev Kalalmin, which is transcendent and connected to, not directly, but indirectly, but connected to. When do you need eidos? As he goes on to say, so then you don't need eidos if it's going to be revealed. Now it translates all this spiritually. That is a beruchni is likewise spiritually. Just to finish the point, that atmos, which is beyond, that's the concept of eidos. That's expressed in the word eidos, not a concept, expressed in the word eidos, which means a testimony, because it bears test. Eidos is a word that conveys that which is not just beyond us, but beyond. So there is a beruch, is there a mamala dobra goloi, or mamala is a revealed revelation shebusig b'seichel, which we can grasp with intellect, as we just explained. And Sevev Kalalmin, which is higher than investor in creation, the infinite light of Hashem, that's called something that will be revealed. Why? It means that even now you have a connection to it. It's concealed, but it's related to revelation, because we can relate to it by saying what it's not. By calling it transcendent, that's a very profound description. And God is not transcendent. So this is a helem sheshayach legilui. In fact, moreover, mamala kalam in intellect leads us to the transcendent. It's not an infinite gulf that separates them. It's the stretching the limits of intellect that makes us appreciate over the horizon the infinite. Not that we can describe it, but its existence and its truth. The intellect appreciates that. Through understanding the divine investure in creation in all of its descriptive, manifested, intelligent forms, we recognize that this is merely a reflection of a likus. Why must be a reflection? Because of its multiplicity, because of its different manifestations, chesed, gevura, and so on. The fact that it becomes invested in creation means it cannot be the purity of a likus because it comes in division. So this leads us to that all of this harmony, or all of this multiplicity, we see in its harmony that it all comes from a place of oneness and transcendence. This itself makes us understand, as we see the investure in creation. On the one hand, the complexity and multiplicity, and the integration and the multiplicity of it all points to a single author, a single creator, a single transcendent truth. This would be the infinite source from where these lights, if you like, are drawn in their various expressions invested in creation, as explained yesterday, fire and water, to illustrate simple elements of our universe. So that's apprehensible api seichel. Seichel understands that Memala Kalalmin is rooted in Sevev Kalalmin. It's a logical deduction. Transcendence is a logical deduction. And God is not transcendent. And therefore, Eidos, as we explain now, is on something which is inaccessible fundamentally, beyond. So Eidos is the term that we use to address Atzmas Ein Sof Shalmaila Gam Yiseviv, higher even than Seviv Shonelam Lagamri. It's fundamentally concealed. That's why all mitzvahs are called Eidos. In addition to Memal and Seviv, every mitzvah is Mamshich Atzmos. And how does that work? Because God allows it and desires it. And because it's a level that's fundamentally inaccessible, not by Seichel and not by Seichel's connection to beyond Seichel, as we just explained. Are we clear?
Why, not practically in the mitzvahs, in the mitzvah of Pesach, Eidos, on one hand, I don't understand it correctly. How do you practically say? I understand the psychology behind it, but how do you practically say Eidos? Eidos, why are we observing Pesach? It has to do something to do with Mamali.
As I know you weren't here yesterday, all mitzvahs have all.
I know.
So he explained, so it would help you if you heard this year, but we explained yesterday, so just mention again, that all mitzvahs have all three dimensions, as we illustrated. So in matzah and in film and in don't steal and honor your parents, in all mitzvahs there's the seichel shebedover. If you probe deeper, it's beyond seichel, and then there's the fact that it's the tzivur Hashem, the simple truth that it's God's commandment. That's beyond the seichel, beyond seichel. It's all true of all mitzvahs. So in the approach of the mitzvah, as we explained yesterday, the Yid has to approach each mitzvah on these three levels. First of all, not in this order, but this is not the order. In Avodah B'Pearl, we'll see the order later. But going from above to below, there's the appreciation of the value of the mitzvah, its message, its moral, spiritual message. Then there is the appreciation of the likus, the infinite likus, Hashem, beyond creator, that the mitzvah draws into the world. And how does he discover that in the mitzvah? That's when he encounters in the mitzvah those aspects that are beyond seichel. as we illustrated yesterday, even the most logical mitzvahs. Why should it be this way? And then there's a simple truth that Hashem has commanded it, and it's mamshech atzmus. But we're going to understand.
Notice that simple truth. Why? I mean, there's the statement that's made that that's an edus, but in what way do we see that, or in what way does that come out in the edus? Is it just that the edus don't have, so to speak, the chesaron of being beyond seichel like chukim, or the chesaron of being within seichel like mishpatim?
Just to rephrase that, I don't know if the Maimon says, but elsewhere it says that since edus has both seichel, not seichel, it's like avayu likim. It's before atzmos, they're both equal, beyond understanding and understanding. So the fusion of the two in equal bittul, if you like, even the infinite before atzmos, that's expressed in edus, because it has both elements. Logic would not dictate to do it to begin with. Once we command it, we understand. So it's both. Now, nobody in the right mind would say you have to wrap black leather boxes on your head and hand every day, and that's mucher chapi seichel. But once we're told to do it, because all the symbolism reminds us, etc., it's beautiful. So it's both seichel and ma'alim and seichel equally pointing to a level that is equally beyond both. In other words, Hashem is equally beyond infinite as he's beyond finite. Infinite is not closer to God than finite is. Both are insignificant. And that's expressed in edus.
Well, why divide them at all? If the ikar is the edus shebedavar.
That's basically the question of the Ben Chacham. Now we're seeing why he puts edus first. Okay, we're in the middle. The plot thickens here, and there's many layers to understanding the Chacham Shaila and our answer at the end. And it's not that we dismiss the Chacham's question either. Because if we answered him and put the question to rest, we wouldn't be asking the question every year to Seder. And the fact we ask the question every year to Seder, we will see at the end of the Maimon, is that this question has to be asked. On the contrary, to really experience it, Yiddishkeit, Yitzias Mitzrayim, the whole business, you got to ask the Ben Chacham's question. That will see the end at the end of the Maimon. But we've got a ways to go, my friends. A journey that the Rebbe takes us in this profound address of Elikus. Let's continue. Obir, yes, I say.
Shkoya, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Obir amayda the edus al chukum. Beprat Yisrael said, now to further explore and explain the mile of edus of a chukim. Because we still need to understand the nuance here, because Av shegam b'chukim nirgash begilu shem retzayni yisbarach. Is not chukim also the mind recognizes that this is Hashem's will, ratzon shelamayla mitam, beyond reason? So once we're going, the Rebbe is asking, once you're going to the world of beyond, isn't that enough? Beyond already. You're telling me beyond. Beyond I don't understand either. Beyond is Hashem's ratzon. So why is that not enough? So so now a profound explanation about the of chukim and sovev kol almin. So the previous Rebbe in the Maimon says that chukim hu beloshen chakika. The word chukim, which is normally is plainly translated as statute or divine decree, also comes from the word chakik, which means to engrave. And looking at the Maimon there of the Fidik Rebbe, the inference is the Shnei Yonim Bazeh. There's two engravings happening here, above and below. Number one, chukim come from a level which is symbolically called engraved within Hashem. Is it now explained? Like he says there in the Maimon, the Fidik Rebbe, what's the mile of engraved letters over written letters? The difference is both, have letters and words and are conveying something. The difference is in engraved letters, the words or letters are not something additional to the stone, to the body of that which is expressing that information. It's one thing. Whereas letters on parchment, so the body is one thing, the parchment, and the letters imposed on it. Now what's it symbolically? So it means, Keser is a level that is not additional kavayochel to elikus. It's not the Eibishter expressing himself in some extraneous, imposed manner, but Keser is something engraved, as it were, in elikus, even though Hashem is communicating a descriptive attribute. It's called Keser, the divine will, but it's part and parcel of him himself, not something separate, as he goes on to explain. The Yishalcha, the Rabbi said, Yishalcha, the Zeh Keser, the level of Keser, which is Sovev Kalami, who dugmas oisis hachkika. It's analogous to engraved letters, she'inim davar noisef ala etzem, they're not something additional to the very source itself, who is like this. Shagilu, the only Sovev could be called oisis hachkika. Mamalakal almin would be symbolically be called written letters, because Shagilu de'era mamala, the manifestation of Hashem's light that fills creation, again, all these different attributes. Since it's manifested in a descriptive, finite way. Unlike the essence of godliness of the divine, which is simple and one. So, true, it's God revealing himself this way. But that actual revelation is it's like, it doesn't say it is, God forbid. It's not something else. It is God expressing himself in these descriptive, finite ways. But it's like something additional to him, because this is not what he's made up of. He's chosen to express himself this way. So it's something additional to his very being, which transcends any of these descriptions, fundamentally. So therefore, Mamalak al-Almin would not be called Oisis Achkika. It's not letters engraved, part and parcel of Alikus. On the contrary, it has the Mamalak al-Almin has the express, pardon?
Property.
The property, yeah, externally at least, or manifestedly, of something additional. Again, it's not chas v'sholom true in essence. But from our perspective, that's the way we see it, because here we're seeing finite descriptive revelations. Whereas, but the infinite light, when that revelation going beyond the shtalshalus, that's simple and one, like the source itself. Even as we see it, it's not something additional in God expressing himself in some other guise. It's patently to be appreciated that this is the way Hashem is expressing himself. His oneness is expressed in Eira Sovev. This will bring out the mile of Eira Sovev. So this is the answer why it's called Oisis Achkika, why it's called Chukim. Chukim reveal the Eira Sovev. And what's Eira Sovev? In summary, Eira Sovev is a revelation of godliness that is not something additional to, but purely expressive of the source itself. Now, obviously, we're going to then contrast that to Eidos and find where it lacks. But now he's bringing out the Maila. Okay, we'll stop. Now we'll go further. We'll finish the paragraph. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said two things. There's Chkika L'Maila, we just described that. Chkika L'Maila means the Madrega of Keser, Eira Sovev, revealed, inseparable from the one God. And the other aspect of Chkika is when Hashem reveals his Sovev Kol Almin in the world, what does he do? He carves out a place, which means to say he's mevatel. He's mevatel us. He reduces our sense of separation, our ego and separation, carved out. Kidisa b'medrash, bittel. Al posik, the medrash says in the posik, Hashem says in Brisi Yemon V'Layla, if not for my covenant day and night, I would not have established the laws of heaven and earth. There's different Pirushim. The second one Rashi brings is that it goes on Torah mitzvahs, and Bris, it goes on Torah, and the Bris Milah. In other words, if not for my desire, Torah mitzvahs would not create a world. But what's the term used? Chukah is shamayim v'aretz something. It doesn't just say I wouldn't have created. I wouldn't have made the statutes. Again, invoking this very word of chukah. Says the Medrash, and the Rebbe is kind of, the Medrash is not so simple, but this is the way the Rebbe is explaining the Medrash, and that is as follows. Chukim shevem chakaktis shamayim v'sa'aretz. I have created the world with statutes means I have created the world in such a way that to the performance of the mitzvahs of chukim, you will effect an engraving, a bittul in the world. When we do mitzvahs, we erode, we carve out the sense of separation and yeshes that I have and independence or defiance and separation to Alikus. As now he says it clearly for us. What is Hashem saying? I've engraved heaven and earth means I've imbued you with the power of chukim to engrave heaven and earth. What does engrave mean? To carve it out. The world is created with a sense of independence, and you do mitzvahs, and you reveal the infinite, and the world surrenders to the truth of Alikus. So it's the bittul we bring to the world. It humbles. So through performance of mitzvahs, we bring our humbling to the sense of independence of creation. That's the idea of engraving, carving out the sense of the resistance, the independence, the separation. Clear? Are we clear? So there's the chkika down here, up there. Are we clear on the two levels, Lamaila and Lamata? Yes? Yeah. The chkika Lamaila is that Eira Seviv is inseparable from the source, and the chkika Lamata means that by performance of mitzvahs and by revealing Hashem's infinite presence and truth in the world, we carve out, we chip away at the independence and yeshes of creation, humbling it and surrendering it to the truth of the transcendent level of Likus, which is in creation all the time, bringing it into being. But there's more. There's the Eidos property to come. But more about Chukim in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. Okay? Today's story. Yes?
Is he basically saying, I guess he's leading to this,